Alright, it's DeagleBeagle. I'm going over Metagross Mega this time. So, right off the bat, you may be thinking this Pokemon's kind of bad, but actually, I listed it as high tier on my blog, which is DeagleBeagle.blogspot.com, but with that said, it's mostly not great. It's good, but that's because I feel like the only two good megas are like Salamence Mega and Rayquaza Mega. Gengar maybe is the third best, but I think Shadow Tag's kind of underrated since it's hard to lock in a good advantage in this metagame. So another thing you may be looking at is the EV spread. Why did I not max it? Well, if you look at some of my blog, I mean, you look at all these Pokemon, right? And how many Pokemon really fall between 168 and 178 speed is what Metagross Mega gets max. I don't think any Pokemon do. So, unless they're a EV at weird like a Gengar Mega, they use 168 like you do. You can always do the speed creep and do a couple more if you're really into that, but probably not necessary, except versus maybe Gengar. So you basically get to use 76 more EVs, which is 10 more HP, or you can put it in special defense or something instead, maybe, versus Gengar if that calc walls it. That's something, maybe I should calculate it right now, really quick. So Mega Metagross, while that's loading, look at the moveset. So Iron Head should probably be the steal move on most Metagross Megas because that's perfect accuracy. It can flinch, and it flinches a lot because 30% of the time, and you usually outspeed them. Protect is obviously a good move on it. I don't think you could get away with not using Protect on it. Maybe Sub by itself, but probably not. And then Stomping Tantrum, I think it's kind of like a staple. It should be on pretty much all of them, or maybe Hammer Arm, but I really don't like Hammer Arm on such a fast Pokemon. If it was like on a Kangaskhan where it lowers it twice and you're using Trick Room, maybe, but usually Hammer Arm, it can miss, and you don't double also if they fake you out like Incineroar does a lot. So Stomping Tantrum seems like it's good in general. It hits things that resist Iron Head like Groudon, and the fourth move is kind of the toss-up. The three moves are kind of the most staple or common. So Ice Punch, I think, might be the best move after testing it a little bit because it works versus Rayquaza, it works versus Salamence Mega, and a couple other Pokemon. It does a little bit more damage to Amoonguss and things that basically are 2 times or 4 times weak to ice, like Crobat, if it's not in the strong winds. Okay, so Ice Punch is probably the best fourth move overall because you have really good coverage. You could use something else like Bullet Punch, but the problem with that is you have a lot of extreme speed from Rayquaza. You have Fake Out, which still outspeeds that. You have Sucker Punch from a Yveltal that might be faster in a Tailwind. You just don't do a lot of damage with Bullet Punch also because of Intimidate. There's a lot of Incineroar, Mence, stuff that can intimidate you after you Mega Evolve, so that's where Sub comes into play. So people like Sub, I think partly for substitute. People don't really use Will-O-Wisp anymore, but that's also why people used to use it. You could maybe use Meteor Mash or still use Iron Head. Meteor Mash would not be for Xern though, because let me show you a calculation. Not this one. It's no, it's not that one either. It basically does, let me move it over. It does 112 to 33% with Meteor Mash, but Iron Head one-shots the min bulk, see, 4 HP, 0 defense bulk, Xerneas anyways, so you might as well just use Iron Head, and it isn't really going to make the difference even if you're adamant. Even if you're adamant, it's not going to do enough through the Intimidate, like ever. Okay, unless it already has some damage on it. So let's go back to that one calculation. Well, first let's go to this hammer arm. So hammer arm basically, you know, it can one shot Incineroar if it's not intimidated, versus like even a max HP one a lot of times, but it can also miss. So it's really less than 75%. It's more like 67% or something like that. So I forgot what I was supposed to calculate though. We could go into the calculation of Stomping Tantrum versus Incineroar really quick. But let's just go Jolly, because I really don't think you should be using an Adamant Metagross. It doesn't outspeed. You see, if you use Jolly, it has a very low chance, like a slightly more than 10% chance to one-shot Incineroar, taking into accuracy into account. So I would not use Hammer Arm. Stomping Tantrum, let's just double it. And this +1 is not really +1. It's because the stupid thing has a default of Intimidate, even though they kind of forget that it starts out as Metagross before common Metagross with Clear Body. In the Team Builder, the reason why I have them all as Megas because it all starts out as Clear Body. So you might as well just start out with Mega Metagross. It just makes things easier. So Stomping Tantrum, just imagine that doing double. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to make it double exactly. Just imagine it doing 122 to 150 something percent, 140, 156%, around there. Okay, so it would do more than Hammer Arm anyways if it were fake outed. And if they're smart, they probably won't fake out because of that Stomping Tantrum. But the fact that they don't fake out it means that you're more free to hit their allies. So it's kind of, they're screwed sometimes either way. But a lot of these Incinerators can wall a Stomping Tantrum, and then they can hit back with like a Z move and one-shot it, or a Flare Blitz and Sun one-shot it, or just do a lot of damage. I don't see Sub really being that great on it. Maybe just for Intimidate mostly, but I don't think Metagross is the type of Pokemon that's so offensive that it would pressure them to protect and get up a free sub. So you saw Ashton Cox used sub Metagross Mega, and its sub was breaking every time. It's not like one of those Pokemon like Gengar where you can just stall with Shadow Tag and try to lock in a good position and have better defensive typing. No, I don't think sub is that great. It used to be better on Metagross in like 2016 and stuff, but the game is just different now. And even then it wasn't that great necessarily. Bullet Punch was used a lot with it. So I really don't remember what that was for. Let's go back to another calculation actually. Metagross versus Rayquaza. So I know it doesn't one-shot it if Stormy Winds is in effect. So yeah, it does 66 to 79%. If they have a Dragon Ascent though, this is assuming they're min bulk. If they have a defense lower for Dragon Ascent, it does 99 to 119%. So it has almost 100% chance to one-shot, which is really nice. And you either outspeed them with Ice Punch, or they go first with Dragon Ascent and then you one-shot them typically, unless they're bulky. Okay, so I think Ice Punch is really good. Let's calculate Salamence really quick. I'm sure it'll do... Actually, it should do a little bit more than Mence, because although it does have Intimidate, Intimidate might not even work versus Metagross. It does have more defense, but it doesn't have strong winds, and the Intimidate might not even be a thing. Okay, so it does at least 115 damage to Salamence if it's naive. Okay, if it's hasty, it'll do even more. So I think Ice Punch is just really good for the coverage. This one, to me, is the best one. Maybe I shouldn't say by far, but it just seems like it's better. Now, you could also maybe use Zen Headbutt if you have Tapu Lele, but typically if you have Tapu Lele, your strong psychic attacker is going to be something like maybe Ultra Necrozma instead. I don't think Metagross Mega is meant for Zen Headbutt. That is good versus like a Mungus and a couple other things, but overall I don't think it's that great. And this thing is starting to lag, so I'm just going to wrap it up. If you have any more questions, feel free to message me down in the comments below, or give me a request of what I should cover next. I'm going to be going to Santa Clara Regionals May 18th and May 19th, and maybe there's a PC on, or Mid-Season Showdown on the 17th. So if there is, I'm probably going to go to that too. So it's only about an hour and a half away, so I'll just do it. This might be the last year I'm competing seriously, by the way. Like, I don't feel like traveling out of state anymore, because I want to focus on other things like learning calculus, or getting good at possibly a new job at plumbing. So you might not see a lot more videos after the next couple months. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.